Welcome back to Folks Racing PlayStation. It's a difficult day in the PlayStation world as the simulation just keeps crashing whenever I do rewind on the chase camera. We were already on lap 10, so hopefully we'll be able to do 3 more laps without any further incidents. We were watching the replay of an incident between Jorge Jesus and Rob Oldham on lap 10, and George was in 5th place, running wide there at Paddock Hill Bend, and that's a genuine run, but well, it seems to me that George was defending a little bit difficult to read this, as George clearly was defending, and it was a little bit tricky to still make the move. Anyway, the net result is that John Scott is up into 6th place and now wants 5th, and a bit of aggressive defending now by George there. And here comes Rob Oldham again, trying to get back into the top 5. And now look at this, there are 3 Ginettas nose to tail as they go absolutely. And here comes Rob Oldham, and he's got it on the outside, and he's up into 6th place again. So now will we see a second edition of this battle between Jorge Jesus and Rob Oldham, with John Scott not far behind? The top 4 are more or less stable, except that Simon Allen is actually not that far behind Kev. But look at this, Rob Oldham then made a mistake there in the final section, and well, he's running very slowly indeed. He's probably trying to avoid a penalty. But sometimes it might be better to just take the penalty. Now he's in 7th place and has lost an enormous amount of time, 4 seconds. He probably would have had just 1 or 2 seconds of penalties. Let's go through the field right now. We are on lap 11 as race leader Darren Head is starting to find drivers to put them a lap behind. That was Wayne Robinson getting out of the way there. Nicely done by Wayne, the rookie, letting race leader Darren Head go through. 2nd place man is Diogo Silva, 3.99 seconds, 4 seconds now, and this gap has remained somewhat stable almost since the beginning of the race. 3rd is Kev Allen, going for a podium. Kev, nicely done. A well fought race, only 2 laps to go now. 4th is Simon Allen. Simon is a couple of seconds behind Kev, so he's not completely out of contention for a podium, but he's got some work to do in the last couple of laps. 5th is John Scott, because something happened with Jorge Jesus, and we'll try to rewind now, and hopefully no problem. As well, George, was he trying to avoid the penalty? Oh, he's just running wide, and now he's trying to avoid the penalty. And John Scott, all of a sudden, from a poor starting position, is in the top 5, and this is the kind of performance that will lead to championships. He will be able to retain the championship lead as it stands. 6th is Jorge Jesus, 7th is Rob Oldham, 8th is Peter Adrian. He's gone ahead of Sid, but Sid is coming back at him, so we definitely still have a battle here for 8th place. Oh, and Peter Adrian is off. Peter Adrian is off, and away goes Sid into 8th place. 9th is Peter Adrian now, and look at this, Dale Taylor finally up into the top 10. 11th is David Emge. 12th is Gonçalo Mota, who had another problem. He was running 11th or 10th earlier on. 13th is Jambo, 14th is Tim Aberley, and 15th, of course, is Tim Robinson. As we are now in the penultimate lap for race leader Darren Head, is going to be his first victory in the new season, the Transatlantic Cup, a total of 5 rounds. And at the end of round 1, it will be John Scott, the championship leader as it stands, and Darren Head also a race winner. Diogo Silva, 2 second places, also in contention for the championship. And the Allens are looking very good indeed in this combo as well with this car. Kev Allen and Simon Allen will definitely have a word to say in terms of who is going to be the champion at the end of race 10. Now, meanwhile, Jorge Jesus has recovered the position from John Scott. John in 6th place, and George up into 5th. 7th is Rob Oldham. We saw him very close to John Scott and George Jesus, but now he's possibly trying to avoid the penalty, so he just went a little bit further back. Then and Sid is off. Sid is off. A spin on his own. He doesn't lose any positions, but potentially Peter Adrian is coming back. I think, remember, Peter had a spin around this part of the track on the previous lap, and he's off again. He's off again, and this time round Peter Adrian is going to go through. Peter Adrian is back into 8th place, and tire management becomes important, as this car does not eat the tires that much, but you do notice a difference between the beginning of the race and the end of the race. The race leader is on his last lap. Darren Head is en route for the first win of the season. And what a race Darren Head has had. Not the best first race, but he's making a statement in the second race of round 1. He's here to win, and he's a few corners from winning this race. Something has happened to Simon Allen. What happened to Simon Allen? Simon Allen, the car is destroyed. What on earth happened? He was in 4th place. We'll try to rewind here. Oh, and Simon... Whoa. What happened there? Simon was... in 2 separate incidents, he was already in 6th place. We do need to replay. Oh, and he went off on his own. There. He's spinning. Reset button, which is allowed in Old Folks Racing PlayStation. But here comes George Jesus and John Scott, and both are around Simon. So Simon at this stage is in 6th. George Jesus is up into 4th, and look at that, John Scott is up into 5th again. But what's going to happen next? Because I suspect something is about to happen between George Jesus and John Scott, which also involved Simon. Oh, and George is trying to avoid a penalty, possibly. And Simon Allen just... was this a misunderstanding? I think John Scott... George had to give the position to John, and Simon was trying to go around the outside. He was undecided, and then ends up spinning and contact there with George as well, and ends up losing a position to Rob Oldham. Rob Oldham up into 5th place, and this is all happening on the last lap. Kev Allen is in 3rd spot now. Well, he was in 3rd spot already, but he's now definitely in 3rd. John Scott is up into 4th because something happened to George Jesus, and everything seems to be happening at the same time here. George Jesus, of course, he lost time with that incident with Simon Allen. John Scott is up into 4th place on the last lap. 5th is Rob Oldham. 6th is now George Jesus. And 7th is Simon Allen. And look at that. Look at this. Rob Oldham trying to defend from George Jesus. This is the last lap of the race. And this is going to be sparkly. This is going to be sparkly. Here comes George Jesus on the inside. He's got the position back, or does he? Rob Oldham tries to retain the outside, but he's running out of space there. And George Jesus is... and almost contact between these two drivers. Remember, they had contact a few laps ago. Simon Allen wants a piece of this as well. And Rob Oldham loses 5th position and maybe 6th position as well. Here comes Darren Head. Will get a replay of the other battles. The checkered flag is in the air for Darren Head, who wins the race. 2nd is Diogo Silva. 3rd is going to be... What happened to Kev Allen? Something happened with Kev Allen on the last lap, but his gap was big enough. 4th is John Scott. But what's going to happen between Rob Oldham and Simon Allen is the question. I think that George is safe in 5th, but definitely Rob is not safe. And here comes Simon Allen. Simon Allen on the last corner. Simon Allen on the last corner gets 6th place, followed by Rob Oldham in 7th. 8th is going to be Peter Adrian. 9th is going to be Sid, and 10th is going to be Dale Taylor. A bit of a photo finish there between Dale and Sid. And Sid gets it. Sid in 9th place, followed by Delta 11th. It's going to be David Emgen. 12th is going to be Gonzalo Mata. And 13th is going to be Jumbo. 14th is going to be Tim Aberley, and Tim is still on the lead lap. We haven't seen too much of him, but we'll follow him in the last few corners of this race. What a race we had here. What a round we had here at Brands Hatch. We will have more rounds with the Ginetta G40, starting with Donington Park National, Alton Park, the full circuit, and then we have races in America as well, in Sonoma and Long Beach, if I'm not mistaken, but I do need to check the calendar, as Tim Aberley completes the race. And this completes coverage of this round. I do apologize for the technical problems, which are entirely the responsibility of Sony PlayStation. Anyways, it was good fun, and we shall see you in round 2.